The privatized spaceflight industry, it's evolved so much over the last 2 decades. Neil Armstrong was famously critical of SpaceX, but as time has gone on, it feels like many more astronauts have embraced the changes that have come with a more involved private spaceflight sector. Now, you personally, what do you think the average American needs to know about the current status of the private spaceflight industry?
I think it's overall a good thing, Drew. I think that it's the access to space has, as you said, to being able to buy a ticket, but it's not just that. The access is of billionaires paying, or countries, more countries can get their astronauts to space with through these private missions. But it's also like, for example, my students at Columbia have flown where I teach. I'm a mechanical engineering professor there. Have flown 2 experiments to space and are planning another one right now, and that would have been impossible years ago. And these both of these things happened in the last 4 years. 10 years ago, this would have never happened. Even 5 years ago, it's very, very recent that now the access to space has been such that students can fly experiments and research can be done, and opening the doors. And a lot of it is because of the use of AI and technology. And we were pretty, Neil Armstrong, I think, spoke for how a lot of us felt at the time. We were coming from a very manually controlled vehicle, the space shuttle, which was flown by astronauts manually, where we had to handle not just the things that were planned to happen, but all the emergencies. And most of our training was dealing with emergencies. Very little computing power. We had to know everything. It took years to be proficient at those things. Now you don't have to worry about that because the computer handles it. And there's sometimes I think a natural resistance to change or to technology or to incorporating artificial intelligence into our workplace. But certainly, and we were resistant to that at first. But I think certainly it's shown the benefits of it. So I think that the lesson there is not just a lesson in how the space program, what it's able to do now and where it's leading to, and all the great things that can happen, not just in exploration and for governments and in science, but also commercialization for our economy. All those things are wonderful things. But it's also the message, I think, is embrace the technology. That, yeah, I know people are skeptical, and there's going to be things that are concern us. There's going to be hiccups. There's going to be changes that need to be made to the technology so that it works correctly and culturally and ethically for us. But it's really a great thing. And this has been, I think, the way it's been throughout history. As a new technology comes in, whatever it is, there's typically some skepticism until we figure out how to use it for our benefit. And we're certainly seeing a big jump in what the space program, not just NASA, but also the commercial space programs, which you mentioned, how that they've been able to do because of the improved technology and the reusability too. That's the other thing, is that now just about everything gets reused, and that wasn't the case. We did have some reusable parts on the space shuttle, of course, but it wasn't efficient. It was still very expensive. Now they're able to fly the rocket booster right back to the launch pad or to a platform out in the ocean to reuse it, and so the reusability has brought the cost down, and the automation has increased the opportunities for people to go because it requires less training.